All right, folks, tonight's number is 55%.
55%.
55%. It's coming from a recent poll, and it's a little bit shocking. This number tells us that only 55% of Americans are bothered by the fact that Russia was involved with election hacking in the United States. So 55% of Americans say they are at least a quite bit concerned about the Russian hacks. There is a
so 55% say they're a little bit concerned.
Yeah, or above.
Okay.
So that's the baseline for concern.
45% are
not concerned. Are not concerned. Yes. Sharp partisan divide. 86% are concerned compared to 29% of Republicans. However, the vast majority of elections, both ways, do not think that Russian hacking influenced the outcome of the election.
Well, I just agree with that. I don't think I am one of those people. Maybe I'm one of the few liberals that believe this, but I don't think that Russian hacking influenced the. People could make the argument that so people saw the Comey email or the Comey email letter, which is different, right? Let's be very clear. The Comey email letter around Huma Abedin's emails has nothing to do with the Russian hacking.
Okay, so that wasn't a result of the Russian hacking. That came out of Anthony Weiner's scandal.
Yeah.
But I thought that the Russians pulled that back up to the front, but that wasn't part of that.
I don't think, unless you could point to me.
I don't remember.
I just think there was a Huma Abedin investigation around Anthony Weiner.
And then they dug back in. The FBI was still investigating, and they said, look, here are some emails from Hillary.
The FBI, the Russian hacked emails are the DNC emails.
Right. Which are interesting.
The WikiLeaks, as well as the John Podesta emails.
Right.
Right, and I don't think any of those had to do with the Comey email. So,
when you talk about you're on the goal line, I think the one big event that you could actually say probably had a tangible impact on the election was the Comey, with 4 days left or whatever.
Maybe. But then that argument could be made that the grab him by the what's the guy's name? By Billy Bush.
Yeah, when did that happen? That was a week out, right?
That happened 2 weeks out. And then you had Alyssa Machado.
Yeah.
And then you had his tax returns.
I don't think that any of those things
none of those things really mattered. I think voters overall were disgusted with both candidates equally, right? Not the Make America Great Again people, which I think. To the victor goes the spoil. So congratulations to all the Make America Great Again Trump hacks out there. But I think that represents about 25% of the Trump vote. I think the other 75% of people were like, ooh.
They were willing to, for whatever reason, overlook all of the disgusting things about Donald Trump because there were things that they liked about him.
Exactly, and they thought he was having a real conversation with them. So I think the Russians did try to meddle in our election. I don't think they had the effect they wanted to. I am one of those progressives that believe Hillary Clinton actually lost the election.
Sure. I think
which people don't want to admit.
One thing about Trump that, looking back on the election, something I've thought about, that I think people didn't really touch on it as much as I thought they should have. But I think it's really important. To most of America, prior to the Republican primary, Donald Trump was Donald Trump of The Apprentice. And The Apprentice depicted him as an incredibly successful businessman, shrewd negotiator, a guy who didn't take any nonsense, and it made him look really good, right? So even when you see all this crazy stuff coming out about Donald Trump during the primaries and the general election, if you've been seeing him on TV for 10 years, pictured as the god of real estate and of making deals, you have that in your head already, and sometimes it's the first impression that matters.
No, I think that's absolutely right, and I think the opposite is true for Hillary. I think the impression people had in their head was she's been here we could all agree, after 8 years of any presidency, the next election is usually a change election. Yeah. The only time that wasn't true was in the Reagan, H.W. Bush, and then also the fact that we ran Dukakis.
Which was a mistake.
And he was a bad candidate. Right? But you put it all into play, and you say to yourself, people's image of Hillary was, she's been around forever. That was the first initial impression.
Sure.
Because even if you say, I like Senator Hillary, or I like Secretary of State Hillary, or I like First Lady Hillary, or I like First Lady of Arkansas Hillary, that means she's been around.
Oh yeah, forever. you've got prior to this election, I don't think there were many Americans that didn't already have an idea of Hillary Clinton in their head.
And I think what makes it worse is that I think that, and we've said this over and over again, I don't think the Hillary campaign adjusted. Primary is supposed to make candidates better. I don't know if if Bernie giving her such a run for her money made her better. I think it actually made her worse.
Yeah, I think it is kind of an unusual. Because
she didn't take it seriously.
You compare when Donald Trump won the Republican primary, that was a show of strength for him.
Oh yeah.
When Hillary Clinton won the Democratic primary, the story was Bernie was so close. It wasn't Hillary beat Bernie. That's
right, and I think it was Bernie just kept Hillary just kept dragging Bernie. Like, she was literally like, we're going to drag this out, and I have more money than you, so we're going to continue to drag it out. And then I don't think, usually what happens in a primary is also like the campaigns meet, they share staff, they share resources.
Yeah. And
what you find is the Hillary people are like, ooh, you're out, and now we're going to keep moving ahead. I'm with her.
Which is, it's not unified. So taking it back to the to the Russian hacks, the number that does concern me, that 55% of Americans are concerned about Russian hacking, whether you think it influenced the outcome of the election or not, me personally, I feel like the number should be 100%. Like, isn't it a no-brainer? Like,
no, I think
we should be concerned that Russia's hacking and trying to influence our election.
Well, I think there's something wrong. There's clearly something wrong with the Russian hack, and I think no matter whether you're Democrat or Republican, and what I want to see from my president-elect, because here's the truth, and I think this is one thing that progressives need to come to grips with, is that this argument that he's not our president, we cannot continue to say that, because you can't have your cake and eat it too. Because what you hear when Republicans said, "Oh, Barack Obama's not our president," and progressives we would go crazy. We would have these our heads would explode. We would here's the thing. I refuse to do what Republicans and neocons and the far right did to Barack to Donald Trump. I just refuse to do it.
For 8 years. Well,
because for 8 years,
gridlock, right?
They just created gridlock. I am not of that mindset. My mindset is this. It's what's good for the working class and the American people. So if Donald Trump does something that's good for the American people, I'm for it. If he does something that's bad for the American people, in my opinion, I'm against it. But what I will say is this, which brings me back to full circle on this Russia hack, is this Russia hack, in my opinion, is something that we've got to invest in and we've got to investigate, because it is bad for the American people to have foreign entities engaging in the foundations of our democracy, which is the electoral process. And so I really hope that Senate Republicans hold strong and they do create a select committee to investigate what the hell happened here.
Sure. It's the least you can do. When these reports are coming out of our intelligence agencies, the intelligence agencies they're not even bipartisan. They're nonpartisan. These are just government employees, right? And these investigations aren't, for the most part, politically motivated, right? You may have an appointed director, but a lot of these people that are doing these investigations are lifers, right? Yeah. So when this report comes out, it's just the facts, right?
And it's not, there's no partisan tilt. It's a job for policymakers to take these reports and use these reports to inform their policy decisions. But the report in itself, it's just a report.